helping someone do what you know how to do, or what you're kind of like, even if you're one step ahead of them and you're on the journey with them. Huge business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Uncensored Direct Marketing. Today I have a very special guest. I have Steve Mastroianni. So Steve has a very unique, I should say, path to direct response and to writing and to copy. And I'm very excited for him to kind of explain to you guys what he's done in the past. So Steve, I'm going to give a little quick intro because I think it's so interesting that you used to be a rock star, like a real rock star, not in your head, like you actually performed and had a contract and you were a real musician that got paid. So that's pretty exciting. So I want you to tell our audience just a quick, how you got into music and a few of the gigs that you did.
For sure. Yeah. And first of all, thanks so much, Maria, for having me on the show. Yeah. It's the short story is basically I've been a musician all my life, and with a very entrepreneurial mindset always. And so I ended up getting signed. My band got signed by Gene Simmons, out of all people. He flew up to Canada, and we were the first band that got signed. And fast forward 6 months, we were touring with Kiss and all over North America. Just multiple record contracts and just a lot of really cool things going for us. It was a lot of fun. Like, it was stressful having a lot of cooks in the kitchen, but a lot of fun. Up and coming, but then huge wrench in the spokes that my dad ended up getting sick, and I put my career on pause. And so I basically, like, all the rock star dream and all that stuff, everything I've always dreamed about my whole life, it was like, well, wait a second. First of all, the only reason I am even a musician, or like even doing what I'm doing, is because my father was a huge supporter, like number one fan. And so I got to support this guy now. And so I put my my recording career and my music career on pause to take care of him at that time. That was back in 2013. But yeah, as far as getting there to we played Mexico City 2 nights in a row. It was 18,500 people, sold out both nights in a row, and wow, just like over 30 shows with Kiss alone. So you could imagine how crazy that was, and the fans, and they really embraced us. Like, I think also because they knew that we were Gene's band, like he signed us. And so, yeah, just crazy times.
What was the name of the band?
So we were called The Envy.
The Envy. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
The Envy.
So
yeah.
did you have an album? Did you actually make a studio album?
Yeah. So we had an album and a couple of EPs, and I mean, it was kind of like, it's an interesting thing, right? Because like, it's sort of like, okay, cool, this band's like taking off, getting notoriety, and we had some songs on the radio and everything, like looking up and all that, and it's just like, oh man, just like thing after thing just starts getting thrown at us. And it wasn't just my father getting sick, but like there were a lot of different things, but my father getting sick definitely was like the thing where it's just like, okay, well, like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to go on tour and then find some really bad news. And again, like I said, because I wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for my dad to support me. And and so it wasn't an easy decision, but at the same time, it kind of was. It was the obvious decision that I had to do. Okay. So yeah, unfortunate, but also kind of led me to where I am today. So you gotta, when you're handed at lemons, you make lemonade, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, and also, like, the interesting thing that you said is that you were very entrepreneurial. Yeah. And I mean, to be a musician, you have to have obviously a lot of discipline. This is an art. You got to practice and so forth. So all these lessons, I'm sure you're taking on to your business life and so forth. So can you tell us a little bit, like, what are you doing right now? So you went obviously on tour with Kiss, which is pretty fucking awesome. Yeah. And then how do you bring yourself from that reality to now, obviously working on your own? But tell us what you do as well.
Yeah. Yes. Well, so right now, so I have my own company. I guess you could call it, I don't know. I mean, it's either like, I guess a media publishing company. I have a bunch of coaching programs and info products and books. And so I'm kind of like, I'm the most like jack of all trades, master of none that you've ever seen. And whether it's I have like undiagnosed ADHD or something, or like I just like achieving things and like tackling new things. I'm a professional songwriter as well as author and all this different stuff. But it's what's weird about me is that I really love helping other people, and in some respects, I'm the guinea pig in my own experiment first. And then I go help people do that same thing. And then I'm the guinea pig in my experiment first, and then I help people do the same thing. So I really like that a lot. And being entrepreneurial, I just do that with anything. Like, so like you were saying, like, it takes a lot of discipline and practice. So does business, right? And so when my dad was sick, it was the first time that I was in the same city for more than one day. And that rattled me, right? Like, so playing different cities every single day. And my stage name wasn't Steve, it was Void. And people would call me Void. So it'd be like kind of like Slash or like Edge or whatever.
Yeah.
So going from like being Void and like everyone in the music industry calling me like, hey, so Void, blah, 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 blah. And like, here's what we're going to do this next month. We're going to be here and there. And like, anyway, then going to be like just plain old Steve and sleeping. And the crazy thing, like, cause my dad was living with my grandfather at the time. He moved in with my grandfather, and there was a guest room, had my old bed from when I was like 10 years old in it. And that was like the only bed. So I've like gone from like being at the peak of success, right? And like in a tour bus and different hotels and stuff and massive arenas and stuff, to going and like being like plain old Stevie sleeping in my 10-year-old bed. And like, I sometimes forget about that detail. That like was very strange. Anyway, but also, I don't know, I don't take myself too seriously. And also my dad was sick, so I had to take care of him. It was like, I don't care where I was sleeping. Plus there were some pretty sketchy places I slept like on tour as well on the way up. So don't even worry. Like, but anyway, so while I was there, even though there was an identity crisis, like I'm like, I got to make some money. Like I gotta make some money while I'm here. And also I'm going to go crazy if I'm not creating anything while I'm taking care of my dad. And so I ended up just, with my laptop, just looking for different ways to make money. And trust me, like as a musician, like there are so many different ways to make money. And I don't mean necessarily like, there's some like sketchy ways to make money and different things that like musicians will always find like some odd jobs or weird things. Right. And so, but I finally stumbled upon direct response, and I opted into someone's list on like, hey, you can do this, or you can make this side money or whatever. And one thing led to another. And I ended up on a guy named Alex Jeffrey's list out in the UK, and got into his coaching program, and I needed something to do while my dad was sick as well, while I was taking care of him. Yeah. And but also something to make money. And I always like on the side while I was off tour, I always helped people play guitar. I always coached, and I always had a passion for like accelerated learning and things like that, kind of like geek in a rock star's body, like really into it. And so anyway, that's how I stumbled upon it. Like, and I started building my business bit by bit from that point, from a hospital room.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, I see behind you, you have, I think, one or two of the books that you wrote, right?
Yeah, these are two of the books that I have here. My first book, Practice Less, Play More, and my second book, Hobby Boss. So one is about playing guitar, and well, actually, it would just be like more about playing songs, because it could be applied to any instrument. But then based on the success of that and what that did for my business, then I wrote Hobby Boss so that I could help people do the same thing. So like what I was saying, I want to be the guinea pig, and then I help people do the same thing.
Okay, cool. So basically, you're helping people kind of get into the gig economy and really kind of learn from there. So right now you're doing a lot of coaching, I guess, for
coaching. Yeah. And basically I help. So I do two things. I mean, so my company's called Rockstar Mind, and it's really like how you do anything is how you do everything. So I really just teach success principles, but I mainly focus on musicians. It's kind of like the easiest thing because of my background. So I help people play their favorite songs, and also write songs. And also I help people to also start their own coaching business, like from a music perspective. But that's all like an incubator where I do a bunch of different experiments. And then I have other clients on the Hobby Boss side of things, where that could be like, I've got a client who's into art, and she coaches people, like she coaches artists. I have another person who's in pro audio. And so it's like with the Hobby Boss side, it just so happens that my clients right now are all kind of art related. They're in the arts, but it really applies to anything, whether it's sports or anything like that. Like when you're teaching someone how to do something, which is just such a huge industry right now, especially, I mean, COVID really, I mean, made that surge, but sharing expertise. I mean, the overhead is sometimes next to nothing, depending on how you set things up, right? You don't have any like inventory or anything. So helping someone do what you know how to do, or what you're kind of like, even if you're one step ahead of them and you're on the journey with them, huge business.
Hope you found today's session valuable. If you have any questions for me or just want to connect, please feel free to visit my website, mariasparagis.com. That's MariaSparagis.com. I'd love to hear what you're working on, so drop me a line on any hot button issues your business is experiencing. And remember, don't worry about failure. You only have to be right once.